يا أيها الذين آمنوا أطيعوا الله وأطيعوا الرسول وأولي الأمر منكم.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين، والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء وسيد المرسلين نبينا محمد وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين. All praise belongs to Allah, and may the peace and blessings of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala be upon his final messenger Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam. My dear brothers and sisters and viewers at home, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to bless you all, to grant you the best of this life and the hereafter, and to grant us thabat, to be and remain steadfast upon this beautiful deen of al-Islam. Allahumma ameen. Welcome, brothers and sisters. This is your opportunity, inshallah ta'ala, to put your questions to the channel, where I will try my best, inshallah ta'ala, to answer those questions for you. There's a couple of ways that you can do that, bi'ithnillahi ta'ala. There is a telephone number which you can call, which is appearing at the bottom of your screen, where you can call us directly here into the studio, and I'll prioritize those particular calls in answering your questions, inshallah ta'ala. There's also the option of you putting your questions to the WhatsApp. If you save the number into your phone and then you open up the application and you put your question to that particular number, which is again at the bottom of your screen, this will come to us, inshallah ta'ala, and this will be sent here on this particular device, and I'll try my very best to answer those questions bi'ithnillahi ta'ala. So as you are rushing to call us, and as you are rushing to put your questions down in your WhatsApps and sending them to us, while that's happening, inshallah ta'ala, I just wanted to share something with you that has been on my mind, actually, and on many people's minds, in terms of observing the situation. As you probably well know, unless you've been living in a hidden cave somewhere, that there was the World Cup final yesterday, and that Argentina won the World Cup. But not to focus necessarily on who was the best team and why they won. I think that because it is a spectacle that is broadcast around the entire world, and it is somewhat an experience, a theatre experience, there is so much to take from. But before I share those particular thoughts, let us take our first call. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bless you. Assalamu alaikum, caller.
Walaikum salam wa rahmatullah.
Yes, sister.
Sheikh, nice to see you on TV again. I've seen you a few years ago, on Islam channel, and you just disappeared, so to speak, and nice to see you back.
Thank you,
Alhamdulillah. Yeah, what it is, Sheikh, I've got family in South Africa, in Cape Town, and what they do now, because I'm in constant contact with them, they say, Inshallah, Ameen, the two together, which I was brought up, it's separate. Inshallah is one thing.
Right.
And a dua for Allah, when you make dua from Allah, you want dua.
Yes.
You say Ameen,
Right.
like the end of Surah Fatiha, Ameen.
Right.
So can you just explain that to me? Are they right to do that anyway? It's a new thing. It never used to be like that.
Okay.
But it's a new thing all of a sudden.
Sure.
Come up with this.
MashaAllah. Good. May Allah bless you with a question, sister.
Ameen. Barakallah khair, Sheikh.
Wa yak. Barakallah fik. Okay. So I think it's very important for us that whenever we use phrases or sentences which we may, or at times may not understand, to understand what the intended meaning behind that is. And as a Muslim, when we're talking about events or things that are happening or have yet to happen, we're talking about things in the future, there's no guarantee for that. So I'll meet you later. And we don't take that as a given, so therefore we say, Insha'Allah. Insha'Allah, if you want to translate, is if Allah wills. Okay, God willing, this happens, or God willing, that will happen. Okay, I'll meet you, God willing. So from this perspective, when we talk about things in the future, we mention Allah's name, and we hope that thing to occur, for it to happen. So therefore we say, Insha'Allah, God willing. Okay. Now this isn't a dua. This isn't a dua within itself. If you say that you want something to happen, I want to meet you, or whatever the case may be, so therefore you just say God willing. Now the statement Insha'Allah Ameen, well, Ameen, because we've now explained what the word Insha'Allah means. Now Ameen is a phrase that is, we say after Surah Al-Fatiha. Now we say Ameen in our own prayer after Surah Al-Fatiha. Why? Because within Surah Al-Fatiha, there is a dua that we are making. So when we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and we say, Ihdina as-sirata al-mustaqim, and Allah guide us to the straight path, this is a request, it's a talab. So therefore, when we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for something to grant us something, we say at the end, Ameen. Okay? So when you put these two together now, because the word Ameen means what? Oh Allah, answer. Oh Allah, Allahumma stajib, Allahumma stajib. Oh Allah, answer that what my request is. When you put them together, inshallah, Ameen, you will find that there is two things that are mixed, put together, which there seems to be something missing. There is something missing. Why? Because you have, what are you requesting? On the one hand, so I'll see you later, inshallah. Okay, I'll see you later, God willing. Now, unless your intention is that, oh Allah, make this happen. Okay, your intention is that, you haven't said it possibly. Oh Allah, allow this to happen. Oh Allah, bless this gathering, that when we meet, we want this to be a blessed gathering, or whatever the case may be. Then you say Ameen. Then that would make sense somewhat. But you know, if people are just saying, oh inshallah, Ameen, but what is it that you've asked for? If the person says, well, I'm asking for this meeting to happen, well, yeah, but why are you saying Ameen? I mean, you've said inshallah, which is, you know, necessary, is good for us to say. We don't take anything for granted. So putting these phrases together, it seems that there's something missing, or they may have misunderstood what the intended meaning is by both of them. So saying inshallah with regards to things in the future, yes, we should say that, absolutely, okay? As we find is mentioned in Surah Al-Kahf, the person reads that carefully, okay? Secondly, with regards to Ameen, we say that when we've made a dua, so you might politely want to explain to them, because you said previously that people never used to say this. Maybe because they understood why, and now because one person said it, and they didn't possibly understand why, and then the next person it was said to didn't understand it, so they took it on as well, and then this is how these things spread. So how to educate people? Just to explain to them, these are the meanings of these phrases, and just putting them together, inshallah, Ameen, it may not be necessarily from a meaning perspective appropriate, may not be correct. We don't have to start rebuking them and start, you know, coming down hard on them, but just simply explain to them the meanings of these two phrases, so that inshallah ta'ala, when they are said and used with the correct meaning. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows best. طيب. Oh, mashallah, we have another caller on the line. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam, Sheikh. How are you?
Yes, I'm very well, alhamdulillah, barakallah feek.
My name is Abu Khalid. I'm calling from Scotland,
Glasgow.
Yes.
Marhaba, welcome.
Do you know Glasgow part of UK?
Well, it depends what side of the fence you're on. But go ahead, bismillah. We know what side you're on.
Okay, just I have one question, Sheikh.
Yeah.
Related the same topic you're talking about, that one. When you finish Quran and you say Sadaq Allahu al-Azim, some people they add something, they Sadaq Allahu al-Azim and Sadaq Rasuluhu Nabiyul Kareem. So allowed to do like this?
Right, okay. Good question.
This is my question, Sheikh. Jazakallah khair.
وإياك الله يبارك فيك يا أخي. Okay, mashallah. Okay, so the brother's asking that on occasions when a person recites Quran, there's maybe a slight, when they finish, there's a slight pause, and then they say Sadaqallahu al-Azim. Now, first and foremost, what does this mean? Sadaqallahu al-Azim. Sadaqa means like what is said in truth. So what has been recited has been said by Allah the Most High, is absolute truth. Okay, if you want to translate it like this, that Allah has spoken and said the absolute truth, the Almighty. Should we say this? Well, of course, you know, there are verses in the Quran, قُلْ صَدَقَ اللَّهِ, say Allah has said the truth. This is in the Quran while you're reciting. Now, after reciting Quran, I just practice with many people that when they finish reciting, they say Sadaqallahu al-Azim. The scholars have different views on whether you say it or you don't say it, okay? It's not necessarily a practice that was done from early generations, but it's something that people practiced later. If one didn't do it, you wouldn't say, okay, you've done something. Or sorry, if you did say it, you say you've done an absolute, what is this, an innovation, it's taking you to misguidance and so on and so forth. Let's not go that far, Allah knows best. But in essence, once you've recited the Quran, what has been recited is the absolute truth, yes. But in this addition of وَصَدَقَ رَسُولِهِ الْكَرِيمِ and what the Messenger has said is an absolute truth, well, this is completely separate from that what has been recited. This is Quran. Because if you want to translate وَصَدَقَ رَسُولِهِ الْكَرِيمِ, that and what the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ has said, the Honorable Prophet ﷺ has said is in truth, well, this is not the speech of the Messenger ﷺ, which may cause confusion, as though there's a mix between of the Quran saying this is from Allah and this is from the Messenger ﷺ. The Quran entirely is from Allah Ta'ala and is not the speech of the Prophet ﷺ. So adding statements like this should absolutely be avoided. You should not say things like that, causing confusion as the first thing. Not that many Muslims may think this, but who knows how people will take it, and it becomes a practice. صدق الله العظيم وصدق رسوله الكريم. After reciting the Quran becomes this practice as to this is the norm, and we should avoid things like that. So therefore, with regards to adding this and what the noble messenger has recited is the absolute truth, this is something should be not said in attachment to what has been recited from the Quran. Okay, should be absolutely avoided. Okay, no doubt. What the Prophet ﷺ, what was revealed to him, وَمَا يَنْتِقُ عَنِ الْهَوَىٰ إِنْ هُوَ إِلَّا وَحْيٌ يُوحَىٰ. That Allah Tabarak wa Ta'ala mentions that what the Messenger ﷺ speaks is not from himself, but rather is a revelation that is given to him. So a sunnah, the sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ is divine. It is from Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala, divinely inspired. But these phrases when reciting and completing the Quran is on the safer side. You should not say these things. Especially the Sadaqa Rasulih al-Kareem. You should not say things like that. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows best. We have another caller on the line. Assalamu alaikum.
Hello, assalamu alaikum, Sheikh.
Salam wa rahmatullah. Yes, brother.
My grandmother has passed away last week and she has missed her prayers over the last few years. How do we compensate for this?
Okay. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala have mercy upon her, brother. I'll answer this question, inshallah ta'ala. May Allah bless you for your question. Okay, so when somebody, a Muslim passes away, we know that the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam told us, إِذَا مَاتَ ابْنُ آدَمَ, if the son or the daughters of Adam, انقطع عمله إلا من ثلاث, that their actions come to an end except for three. صدقة جارية, a continuous charity, أو علم ينتفع بها, أو علم ينتفع به, that a knowledge which is benefited from with others, by others, أو ولد صالح يدعو له, or a pious child, doesn't have to be a child, but a pious relative makes a supplication for them. So that Muslim who's passed away can't do anything for themselves anymore. وَأَنْ لَيْسَ لِلْإِنسَانِ إِلَّا مَا سَعَى, that the person or the human being will only have what they put forth. So it's incumbent upon us, inshallah ta'ala, as relatives for that deceased, to make dua for them, to supplicate for them, maybe to set up a charity for them, so that they, inshallah ta'ala, can benefit in their grave from the goodness that is set up after their death. If they had shortcomings, whatever their shortcomings were, then we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to forgive them, to overlook them, to have mercy upon them. And this is what we should be asking Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for. So, any Muslim that dies will have shortcomings. If they had shortcomings in their ibadat, in their worship, then, we ask Allah Azza wa Jal to forgive them, to have mercy upon them, and so on. This is a constant dua that you should be asking Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for them, brother. And if there's other things that you can do for them, set up a continuous charity. We also know it's permitted that you can perform an umrah on their behalf, or perform hajj on their behalf, because there are nusus, there are texts which support this. There's evidence to support these actions on behalf of the deceased. So therefore, that particular, beloved relative who passed away, I ask Allah Azza wa Jal to have mercy upon them, had some shortcomings with maybe their prayer, Allah al-Musta'an. We ask Allah Azza wa Jal to forgive them. We ask Allah Azza wa Jal to forgive them. And any person, any Muslim that dies will have shortcomings. So we make dua for them. This is extremely important. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows best. There's a couple of questions we have, inshallah ta'ala, regarding from the WhatsApp. Is how to pray when traveling. So if a person has the ruling of a traveler, meaning they go beyond a certain distance according to the majority of the scholars. And then, the question is, okay, what is that distance? The distance is, and Allah knows best, 49 miles from the edge of your city, not from your home, from the edge of your city. So you can consider the edge of your city, let's say the M25 around London. Okay, anything beyond that, 49 miles. If you're traveling beyond that, 49 miles from each other, you'll be considered a traveler. What do you do? Well, it is permitted for you to shorten your prayers. So those prayers which are 4 rak'ah become 2 rak'ah. Okay? Except Salat al-Maghrib remains 3, and Salat al-Fajr remains 2. So Dhuhr, Asr and Isha are prayed as 2. So you're allowed to shorten your prayers. And according to the majority of the scholars, you're also permitted to join them. So you can pray Dhuhr with Asr, and you can pray Salat al-Maghrib with Isha. If you follow the other school of thought that you should pray the prayers in their times but shorten, this is of course another valid opinion amongst the scholars. So there are 2 approaches in how you're going to offer your prayers while a traveler. And I guess these are the most important rulings for us to bear in mind when we are traveling. So we've come to the end of the first part, brothers and sisters. Please join us after the break, inshallah ta'ala, where we will continue to take your questions. Barakallahu feekum. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
يا أيها الذين آمنوا أطيعوا الله وأطيعوا الرسول وأولي الأمر منكم